Hello language learners! Today I'm going to continue to work on creating my first video about how to prepare a text for pronunciation work. In the first part of this video, I'll be talking about a way of improving that previous masterpiece that I dared to put out on YouTube, and in the second part, I'm actually going to follow my own advice. So, Video 1. That, for a lack of a better term, improvisation, still needs improvement until it can become a comprehensible means of communication. The route I've decided to take is not an easy one, but it could be a bit more rewarding in terms of learning the language of YouTube videos, and could even make me better at truly improvising proper texts in English. This is a goal of any language class, by the way. So for me, this video is a way to find something called the productive approach to language learning for my own learning. And this is how it goes. At first, a student, in Russian обучающийся, literally the one teaching himself with a tool, perhaps with the tool of his or her own device. I'll repeat. At first, a student makes something that he has as little as possible examples for copying, ideally something completely new for the student. I'll repeat that again. At first, a student creates a spontaneous text on a topic he or she is familiar with. I did that with the first video on how to prepare texts for pronunciation work. Then, and this is what I did while preparing for today's video, the student actually transcribes his own text. Why? Because it's very useful to see yourself as an object of your own pedagogical activity. The Russian term обучающийся implies that the student objectifies him or herself, looks at oneself, one's personality, with the intention of positive change. This could be a red flag for many people nowadays, and it is absolutely justified. There are two main questions that could be raised here. First, how can I look at myself as an object? And two, how do I know which intention is positive for me? Like really, how do I know what's good for me? Both questions could be answered by one little assumption that I'm going to leave unexplained for now. Let's pretend that the personality writing a text is reflected in the text. So, could it be that by changing the text, its properties and quality, we're actually changing the personality? Well, we'll actually leave this one open for discussion, because I don't have the right words and time to talk about it today. This could be a good material for angry comments, though. The first part of my today's video actually resembles the first part of my last video. It's like me talking about Audacity for 5 minutes, losing everyone. Anyway, this was essential for my students writing course papers on productive approach, and those of you who is beginning to understand, with the help of this quarantine distance learning, that in the modern world, we need to start trying at least to be our own teachers, figuring out how to change our outlook and making tools for it ourselves. I cannot overemphasize it, alongside the benefits of using free software for it. I'll repeat what I said earlier. At first, record a video or an audio about something you know well. Tell someone who doesn't know anything about it. Most of us have no idea what makes your life light up with meaning. Then transcribe it. And yes, here is another thing I need to talk about. The word transcribe has 5 meanings, and none of them actually means writing transcription. The first meaning, to decipher, like the opposite of Bill Cipher in Gravity Falls. A lot of ciphers in that cartoon, aren't there? The second meaning, to rewrite, to copy something. The third meaning, to write down. The fourth meaning, to reproduce, convert. The fifth meaning, to arrange, organize, order. So, if we just think about all these shades of meaning, literally as shadows cast by one entity, then we could see how multifaceted this notion really is. In this video, we will use the word to transcribe in the meaning to write something down. This is the meaning most people use this word in the real world, outside phonetics class. This is a job that some people do. They listen to audio files recorded at court or other places and write down what they hear. Those people are called transcribers. I would actually like to learn this skill very much. I could tell about it in more details later. Here I'll just say that there's a special piece of software called ExpressScribe by NCH Software. It's not a free program, however, it has a nice demo version that works infinitely if you remove it and install it again after a certain period of time. Anyway, here is what it does. You upload an audio file into the software, press Scribe Mini, open a Word document, and start the journey of a lifetime. Press F9 and it starts to play the file. Press F4, it stops playing the file. Press F7 and F8 and it rewinds it back and forth. You don't have to press Alt-Tab to move between the audio player and word processor. Yes, I did say word processor. To start, stop and rewind the recording while you transcribe. And it really saves a lot of time. And this is exactly what I did with my first video file. So, here I have the exact transcription of video 1. You can see that it's crap, entirely unstructured, packed with repetitions, filler words, or parasite words, as we say in Russian. It took me about an hour to do it, no sweat. Before I move to editing it as a text and really make it work as a means of communicating my point to you guys, I want to use it for one more thing today. Maybe a bit anticlimactic. I'll do exactly what it says in video 1 to video 1 itself. I'll make a Lebedinskaya out of it. Why? Because sometimes the shortest way is the longest. As it says on my notebook that I bought one day before the quarantine, and I heard the same thought in a great cartoon, Onward, or in Russian, Вперед, forward. So, I'm not used to taking shortest ways. Sometimes the longest way around is the shortest way home. It's an English proverb or saying, so its literal meaning doesn't matter. The real meaning is, here, short way represents shortcuts, which are error-prone and risky. So you may have to repeat the process all over again, or meet with consequences. Long way around. This represents much safer route, all planned and right. If you take this route, it will take longer time. but you'll certainly finish the task in the right way. So the proverb means, good certain path is better than riskier uncertain shortcuts. HiNative.com. Wow, this is not quite so encouraging. Alright, let's try not to be discouraged taking longer paths. And please, do watch Onward. It's all about productive approach. Anyway, I'll stop recording the sound and we'll just fast forward the process. I'm actually curious how much time it will take 5 pages of text. Before I do it, I want to add 2 things that I came up with while transcribing video 1. I said that the effective way to do it is this. 1. Copy the text and paste it into the text field of linguado.com transcription section. 2. Choose British, transcription only, show weak forms. 3. Press Show Transcription. 4. Copy the transcription and paste it into a new Word document. 5. Press Ctrl F to open a searching window. 6. Type the phonetic symbol for the target vowel sound into the search field. 7. Copy all the words in transcription into a separate Word document that has the phonetic symbols in the right order. Nota bene. You can move between windows by pressing Alt+Tab in Windows, and I have no idea about the higher elf machinery, meaning Apple, iOS, or whatever the rich folk call the magic mirrors they use. 8. After you've copied all the IPA transcribed words, you should type. Yes, just type. There's no automatic way of doing it. Again, manually type the words by their transcription into the columns. It's a good exercise and a good way of mastering your phonetic and phonological ear and transcribing skills. That was what I was trying to tell you last time. It took a long time, didn't it? And now, I want to add something that it took me 12 years to figure out. If you want to make this process more effective, before you start looking for the vowel sound symbols, you need to do something about diphthongs sharing some of the symbols with the monophthongs. I'll show you what I mean. You will find a symbol for monophthong E not only as the representation of itself, but also as a part of the diphthong I. In these brackets, I show phonemes, and in these brackets, I show allophones. A phoneme is an ideal representation of the sound, an element of the language system. It lives in your head if you speak English and helps you to differentiate between the words like pie, pay, and p. An allophone is what you actually pronounce, a sound as an element in the sound matter of a spoken word. One sound can be pronounced differently by different people in different words. This is a fact, so you all know what an allophone is. When we talk about phonemes, E and I, we need to remember that they can also be pronounced differently by different speakers. With the sound E, you can watch a video by this guy. He's quite amazing and inspiring. On minute 4, he shows a Russian guy living in New Zealand who pronounces the phoneme E really close to U. Right. But what happens to the actual phoneme U, like in put, book, look, should, good, and all the other nice words with it? I have no idea. I think it deserves a special video, maybe even made by one of you guys. A similar thing can be said about the sound I. It's pronounced as I only in Monty Python when they mock the upper-class twit of the year, or in Ray William Johnson's video about a gay ninja. I is a way they actually pronounce it in the modern received pronunciation. I is the Australian way and also the way of the Cockney accent. Along A is how some of my friends in the southern states pronounce it. At least, this is how I remember them pronounce it. So, we need to come up with an algorithm to change symbols into more appropriate ones automatically. We'll start with the sound I. Listen to this sound in isolation. I, and as a part of a diphthong. I. Let's make the second element closer to the actual sound I. I. Different, right? How are they different? I alone and I as a part of I. If you choose a place for each of them on the IPA chart, you'd probably see that I in I is a little closer to I, more narrow, which means that the tongue is higher in the mouth than in the separate sound I. If you don't feel it yet, just practice. Practice makes perfect. You can watch some of the videos on Instagram at the page of Joseph English School or their group VK. Anyway, how do we write this more narrow I in I using phonetic transcription? We simply add a diacritic under the symbol I that will show the more narrow character of the slightly different sound. The diacritic will be this, and the new symbol will look something like this. We'll add it to the diphthong I allophonic transcription, and this is what we'll get. We go back to the text now. Press Ctrl F. Open the tab Replace, and then replace I with I. And now, when you search for the words with the short monophthong I, it will not show you any instances of the same symbol as a part of the diphthong. I use the website ipa.typeit.org/full for typing all the weird diacritics on my phonetic keyboard. Don't bother with the latter just yet. I'll try to make a video about it. It would be a nice video about all the necessary replacements for the accurate allophonic or narrow transcription of your text. For now, I'll just mention the first element of the diphthong A versus a short monophthong E. I'm not sure why Linguado.com shows these sounds in a totally opposite fashion to how I pronounce it. This is especially strange because I'm trying to do my British accent learned from some nice shows. The sound E is very different from E. Whereas in American English, E is pronounced as the first element of the diphthong A. So it's actually pronounced as A, sorry, A. And E is pronounced as E, more open. In modern RP, these two cases are completely opposite. The phoneme A is pronounced as A with a more open quality of the initial element, and E is pronounced as E in a more narrow fashion. So again, if we replace these symbols, it will make the searching process more fast and simple. Here are the algorithms for replacing the IPA phonemic transcription symbols with the allophonic ones for better searching. You can see them on the screen or in the description below the video. Press the pause button and copy them from the screen in a moment, or check it out in the description later. Replace I with I, replace E with E, replace A with A, replace O with O, replace Oi with Oi, replace ear with ear, replace with replace air with air. Talking about number 6, remember we had replaced with everywhere by step 2a. So now we need to change it back in diphthong air. It's also more open than e. 7. Replace o with o. Replace ow with ow. Now you won't have difficulties finding all the sounds and sorting them by stressed vowels into nice columns. Once you've done this, I can actually time my parsing the text. I like this word very much. It's a more laconic way of saying to put a text into columns organized by one principle before actually working on its pronunciation. Let's see. If I have any comments or ideas while doing it, I'll type it and save in a separate Word file. Then I could subtract the productive digressions from the entire working time, but I'm not really in the mood for it, so it would probably be fast and purposeful. In a Gandalf voice, you never know what awaits you when you set out for an adventure, Bilbo. Mr. Montage, do your thing. Right, so I'm not going to record everything that I did and put it inside this video for obvious reasons, but you can see that I'm fast forwarding this whole thing, and as you see, I have a lot of problems going to the website lingorado.com, and it keeps showing me Colorado and Colorado vacation guide and things like that, and it was so embarrassing when I was recording that. But finally I got to know the fact that the site is actually called twophonetics.com, and then you can see that I'm copying and pasting the text, following the instructions, show transcription. Then you can see that there are blue things, like some words are highlighted with blue, and these words, they could have different transcriptions. For example, record, record. So I have to change everywhere where there's this word, I have to change it to record because I use it as a verb. Alright, and it probably could be done automatically, but for now I just did it manually, so it took quite some time. So auxiliary I didn't know it was pronounced like that. I pronounced it as auxiliary, and it's obviously not correct. And I've been saying it like that for all my life, and this is fun. Okay, I finally pasted it into a Word document, and then this is where I could actually automatically replace all the instances of the word record and replace it with record, but I chose to do it manually, weirdly enough. So I took the document with the words for Stand By Me and prepared it for just the work. I don't know, this is probably not the most interesting part of this video, but as you can see, I'm just following the instructions. At first, I tried to use semicolon after each word, and then I decided that it's counterproductive. You see, it's just, at first it was quite a slow process, but then as I got used to the routine and adjusted my body position to that, it started to be very nice. So I'm not copying the words that are repeating, only if I forget that I had already pasted them in. Right, so with the E, I don't have quite as many words. You see the principle of it, so I'm going to just go to the next part of the video, where after finishing with E, I suddenly realized that I didn't do any of the replacing that I was telling you about for like a long time. And yeah, I mean, I just did the replacing and it saved a lot of time, believe me. Alright, then after the replacing, I started looking for the sound E, and this was kind of surprising because it took me most of the time that I spent doing this whole thing. I mean, like, I was looking for the long E instances for maybe 20 minutes or something like that. And then for the rest of the hour, I was just looking for the E sound instances. Right, so this video I recorded, and then it was 1.5 hours, and then I had a break, got me some tea, turned on the music, and then I did another 1.5 hours, and that 1.5 hours was a bit more efficient, I would say, because like that the first 1.5 hours I spent on just two sounds, long E and short E, and then the next 1.5 hours I spent doing quite interesting stuff, like looking for all the other monophthongs and even some of the diphthongs. So the work became much faster. I'm not going to show you the whole process, but as you can see, this video ends on the diphthong A. So that was the second part of the work that I didn't record because it was so inconvenient working in this 16:9 ratio of the screen, whereas my natural ratio of my screen is 5:4, and I have an old monitor. So I actually chose to do it faster rather than show off the process and record it. I don't know why I even recorded the first two parts, but that just to show you that it's not a big deal. It can be done. It's not difficult. I mean, I spent 3 hours doing that, but that is for 5 pages of text. And I mean, it can be done even faster. So the point of this, of all these things that I'm talking about is that you shouldn't be discouraged by the time. And I mean, once you've done the first text that you've written, it actually becomes much faster. So that's probably all. So the result of these 3 hours I will show in the next video. So for now, just bear in mind the method of doing this and maybe even try doing it. So that's all for commenting this workflow. I don't think it's a good idea to go streaming this on Twitch or on YouTube or something like that. I would say that the point of it was to show you the method, and this is what I did. Right, now let's go back to my recorded voice. Here we are. I'm going to publish this full video, and I know that YouTube people like it short. I'm finally getting to the thing I wanted to tell you in the first place today. Thank you for watching. The next step of my productive approach journey might be cutting the video into shorter ones and making them whole, complete, self-sufficient as they are. Ready for ZettleKasten. Google it. All the tricks I've shown you today work differently for different people, mind you. However, learning is about doing new things. This is the point. The cool thing for my students is that they can actually help me with my videos and get good marks for it. I have several roles for you during the distance learning thing. A transcriber, a critic, an editor, a skeptic, an internet troll, a sheriff, a scholar/a scientist, a methodologist, an interpreter/translator, etc. If you take part in making some of my, in this case, our videos, in all of these roles, you could get a free pass at the exam, without even having to talk about these crazy situations we come up with every year. Wait, that's another role and another video. Sometimes I even need a teacher, someone who could look at my product, this video for instance, from the other point of view, ready to talk to me as I talk to my students. The idea is that in the productive approach, the student and the teacher can sometimes change roles. This is weird for some people, and other people get it. You can only learn something you've tried teaching. You have some time to think about it. The distance learning has no intention of coming to an end just yet. So have fun and work on your own products. It's time to part. See you.
А Стас Давыдов моргает? А я не уверен. Да, сейчас взглянем. Вы, блин, сами вот начнете делать, я вот посмотрю на вас на всех.
Hello language learners. Today I'm going to continue to work on the...
Теперь я сосредоточен на том, что я моргаю.
Надо, короче, на записи, за которой я сейчас повторяю, надо ставить звуковые отметки типа «пинг», когда надо моргнуть. Нет, не надо так делать, потому что я собьюсь. Не надо так делать, я собьюсь, но идея с «пинг» — это отлично.